Hey, Pat Rigsby here, and in today's episode, I want to talk with you about the 4 characteristics I see in the most successful business owners. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Fitness Business School podcast, the show for fitness business owners who want to grow their income, increase their impact, and improve their lifestyle. Be sure to listen till the end of this episode because we have a brand new special offer exclusive for listeners. So stay tuned.
One of the things that I really look for when I'm trying to observe what works in business and I'm trying to really educate myself is patterns. I want to see the commonalities. I don't want to see the outliers, the things that are kind of those unicorn opportunities that somebody tapped into or something. I want to kind of find the common traits, the common characteristics, the common themes that you know, if you buy into these, if you embrace them, if you execute on them, they give you the highest probability of success. And kind of with that in mind, you know, when I look at the most successful business owners, and I won't even say just like that top 1% or something, but even, you know, really all the business owners in our industry that in common markets are doing, you know, $500,000 a year or more. In major markets are probably doing that $750,000 or $1 million or more. And then the online people that, you know, kind of have their own milestones or benchmarks, but are really being successful. And there are 4 things that I see that are really, you know, repeated throughout. The first is, they're all smart. You know, they're all intelligent. That doesn't mean they're all the you know, are geniuses or anything like that. But they're smart. They, you know, they're continual learners. They're always trying to improve their knowledge in not just, you know, one particular lane, but in improving their knowledge across the board, from, you know, everything from behavioral psychology to anatomy and physiology, program design, or whatever else. If we're talking about the fitness industry, they want to understand marketing. They want to understand persuasion. They want to understand systems and operations. And almost without exception, the successful business owners I know, they're smart. And it's practical, right? Like it's kind of like when you'll hear people talk about the difference between book smarts and street smarts. You know, yeah, they're book smart, but they understand, you know, just kind of the way things in the real world operate. Very, very bright across the board. So that's the first thing that I see throughout. You know, because occasionally you'll hear people who maybe aren't doing well, they'll kind of downplay some of those things. Like, hey, that person's not that smart. How did they get that successful? No, I mean, almost without exception, the people that I see do really well are very bright. The second thing that I see is that the people who do very well, almost without exception, are relatively hardworking. They're not always looking for shortcuts. They're not trying to avoid the work. I think they associate, you know, the success with the actual work that comes as a prerequisite. They understand that success follows hard work. They, you know, they think that it's earned, and frankly, they're proud of the fact that they're willing to do the stuff that the vast majority won't. That doesn't mean that every one of them is working 100 hours a week. It doesn't mean that they're burning the candle at both ends, that they're working at the expense of having a quality family life or personal life. You know, some people are very efficient with the work they do, but they do quality work. You know, they move the needle. They're not just sitting around kind of scrolling through social media all day. They're getting things done. They're accomplishing projects. They're installing processes. They're they're doing things that make a difference. And to be fair, that usually means they're pretty good at prioritizing things, and they can separate things that are just mundane, kind of put out the fire type stuff, and actual things that make a difference in moving their business forward. So, the people that I see that do well are, that yes, they're smart, they're hardworking, and they have the third one is they have a degree of humility. And I don't mean kind of, hey, they don't take credit for things, or they don't share case studies and success stories. Not that kind of humility. I think maybe more the humility that they understand that other people are intelligent too and have answers. So they're quick to borrow what works from other areas. They're quick to learn from other disciplines. They're quick to learn from other people who have achieved success in whatever their pursuits are. And the humility that comes with understanding that you don't know it all, without exception, the smart people I know, the successful people I know, they have that. And again, it's kind of like a badge of honor. They love the fact that they can go and learn from other people and kind of aggregate this knowledge into what they're doing to make them better. In some ways, it probably feels a little bit like a superpower that you can go and, take knowledge from other disciplines. You can learn things that seem unrelated. You don't always have to study fitness business stuff to run a better fitness business, for example. And, it's, I think that humility that you don't know everything, and that you're willing to go learn from people who may be, less accomplished than you in some ways or whatever else. I think I've appreciated throughout the years that I can probably learn something from almost anyone. So, everybody's got something to share if you stick around long enough and pay attention long enough. So those are the first three, and I think that we control all three of those to a great deal, right? We can always increase our knowledge, and again, it's less about IQ and more about usable usable knowledge, and being smart in that way. We can all be more hardworking. We can all have more humility. And then the fourth one is the fact that I think that most of the people that I've seen do well have pretty good timing. And sometimes timing, there's a degree of luck with timing, right? Circumstances have to work in your favor. But also there's that being prepared and being ready, so that when timing, the right opportunities happen, you can take advantage of them. And I can tell you, in my case, most of the professional successes that I've had have been in some ways a product of good timing. I became the youngest head baseball coach at a university in the United States back in the fall of 1995. And, well, in some ways it wasn't a great opportunity. Certainly, you don't get that job if it's a great job. But, I was there. I hadn't, I'd kind of looked around for graduate assistant opportunities, sent out plenty of resumes, sent out stuff to almost 100 schools, and really didn't get much in the way of opportunities back. In fact, I got nobody who offered me a position. I got a few people that said they'd keep me in mind, and that was about it. So I happened to be in the right place at the right time to be able to get this job when it came open, be one of the applicants, and be available, and have enough on my resume, having worked at the schools and assistant coach, to be able to get that job. If I'd have been 2 years younger, wouldn't have been able to do it, wouldn't have had a degree. If it would have been another year further down the line, I would have gone and started grad school somewhere and or gotten a job, and it would have been harder to kind of make that move. So the timing worked out in my favor. When I got into the fitness industry, both in the offline world and the online world, both of the offline businesses that I started that gained a lot of traction very quickly were in markets that were healthy markets, but they were just small enough to not have great competition. And, so the population in the market, they were more aware of fitness, they were more aware of personal training, but there weren't great solutions available to them. And if I'd have been 5 years earlier, I don't think that there would have been as much market awareness. If I'd have been 3 years later, the competition had started to creep in, and those businesses were fine because they had a head start. But, I kind of synced up the timing. And then when I got into the online world, I certainly wasn't one of those first adopters that, hey, you're getting leads for a penny per lead or something like that you'll hear stories about and everything. But I was definitely early enough in the online market that it was easier to gain some sort of traction in the industry. There certainly weren't the number of quote unquote gurus that there are now. There were only a handful of people providing coaching and education and resources for fitness business owners. So there was more of an opportunity there. There was more of a chance for me to take, what knowledge I had or was willing to gain. Being hardworking, being humble enough to learn from other industries, there was a gap. I could go and build an audience through search engine optimization because it wasn't as competitive. The algorithms hadn't evolved that much, so I could take advantage of the timing there. And so it helped me gain some market share, some traction a little bit earlier. And, if I think about my wife's business, her original business, Fit Yummy Mummy, was, a business helping busy moms, usually of, young but not like newborn children or, even school age children, kind of get their bodies back and, work out at home and, and so much more. I think that was kind of the hook, but she did so much more for those moms. And, at that point, most of the people who had gotten into the online world and were selling ebooks and info products were men, kind of young men even. And so she could separate herself and gain market share by just, being different and having empathy and being able to relate to the moms that were in that market. And it allowed her to gain some meaningful market share pretty quickly. So, timing matters. And if you'd have been 5 years earlier on any of this stuff, 5 years later on any of this stuff, it probably wouldn't have gone that same way. But that doesn't mean that it's just, a lightning strike and it's luck. It means that you have to be prepared for those opportunities. You have to be, a guy that I have learned a great deal from is a mentor who I've never met. I mean, he passed away before I was born, a gentleman named Branch Rickey. You may be familiar with him as the person who signed Jackie Robinson and brought him in to integrate baseball. Well, Branch Rickey was from my hometown. And so obviously it's somebody I'd been aware of and studied a lot and everything else. And he was fond of saying, luck is the residue of design. And I've kind of hung on to that since, my late teens even. Yeah, you can get lucky, but a lot of it has to do with putting yourself in a position to capitalize on the timing, on the luck, on the opportunities that come your way. So if I'm trying to reverse engineer how the people that I know who've done well, who've built wealth as a gym owner, who've had success in the fitness industry, becoming a market leader in some capacity, they've all had those four traits in place in some way, and I can't really think of anybody who wouldn't. And I'm sure that if I rattled off names, some people would question the third one, the humility one, right? They'd say, well, that person's arrogant or cocky or whatever else. But thinking of humility through the lens that I described it, being willing to kind of humble yourself and learn from others. I think those guys, every one of them have had that too. Even the ones that you'd think are kind of out there in social media and kind of pounding their chest and seem, very, very self-confident, to put it mildly. Still, you can look back in their journey and they've been able to learn from other people, absorb that stuff and implement it or integrate it into what they do. So you want to be successful, those are the things that you need to have in place. And frankly, it's more important than the tactical stuff. It's more important than knowing which funnel to run or knowing which ad platform to market on. These traits are going to transcend any of the tactical stuff. So focus on those, and I think you'll be in a good place. You'll have a lot in common with the people who do well, and that's a pretty good place to start if you want to do well too. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Fitness Business School. Before you go, I have a quick announcement. One of the things that we've been doing with our current clients is taking them through this ideal business diagnostic. And really what it is this checklist that allows you to pinpoint exactly what your business needs next so you can keep improving, keep growing, and build a business that you love to own. One that pays you well, one that allows you to have the impact you want to have, and one that allows you to have a lifestyle that you truly enjoy. In this diagnostic, we walk through everything and we do an evaluation and can instantly pinpoint what you need to do next to build that business that you want. I'm going to extend this opportunity to get on with either me or my team and take you through this evaluation and fix your business's most vital needs fast. So if we take you through this, you're going to be able to make those vital changes that you need to finally have what I call your ideal business. If you'd be interested in going through this entirely free, risk-free diagnostic with us and learn what you already have in place, what you're doing well, and where your greatest opportunities for rapid improvement are, just shoot me an email with diagnostic in the subject line to pat@patrigsby.com. Again, an email to pat@patrigsby.com with diagnostic in the subject line will get you scheduled and take you through this evaluation to help you build the business you want.